I think it's more of a sense of picking up where we left off. I think we worked with Kevin before. We knew how it worked. It probably took a couple of weeks to get comfortable with each other on the first album. But he is kind of old school in that he likes to record live. I mean, he's worked with other bands, and I think probably a few years ago we got into the habit of being very meticulous with the albums, and it was just a different way of recording. You'd record drums first, and then spend weeks putting guitars on. But really, I mean, we just play pretty much live on this, and with the technology we got now, you can capture that and get it done fairly quickly. I mean, the time probably is in the mixing, and there's a lot of technical work to do. But you want to keep the performance. So you just approach it like you would do live. You try to enjoy it. We do enjoy it recording. I mean, it can. I mean, recording can be a bit of a nightmare sometimes, because you do over and over things over and over again, and you end up not losing the big picture. If you do things fairly spontaneously, you keep the essence of it and keep what's good about it. So I'd say this way is the best way. Good question. I mean, well, it's a new single that's coming out probably just before the album. It's a very immediate song. It's very instant. It's not one of our 9-minute jobs. It fits in great with what we're playing already. The older stuff, the more classic stuff. It just fits in perfectly. It's very, very to the point, and people. If you look at the audience, they're trying to sing it. By the second verse, they desperately want to sing it because they sing all the other songs, but by the end of the song, they've actually got an idea of what it's about, and they're all joining in with it. So that's a good sign. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that personally inspires me. When you think of doing a song live, being in a live environment with the fans, I find that very inspiring. That was the first thing I actually sat down to try and come up with some stuff. That was one of the first things I came up with, and it took me a matter of hours to get it together. And I played it to Steve, and he liked it, and he started jotting down some words, and we had a song within a few hours. So yeah, definitely think the thought of playing it live would be a big consideration. Yeah. I think all of us kind of went away and kind of recharged the batteries, and to be honest, I hardly really played for a year, which was very naughty, but I just didn't feel like it, to be honest. But come round to sort of the end of the summer, and you start getting the itch and you start thinking about it, and we were officially supposed to start writing in August, but I started probably September, starting play guitar 2-3 hours a day and trying to get myself back into it, and sometimes it's good to have a layoff, because you get you get inspired again. It's you need to keep it fresh. The music to the song kind of wrote itself. It was just one of those things. I had the little intro riff, and I was really sort of it evoked a lot of things. Mainly it's kind of a conflict and battle, and the calm before the storm kind of thing. I thought this has got to be a song about a big battle. It's real classic Maiden territory, but something I've never got involved in before. And I thought, well, as a challenge to myself, I'll try and write something, because most people probably associate me with writing the more commercial tracks in the band. But I thought, well, I'll have a go at writing a bit of an epic. Why not? And 5 days later, I was still there, and I realised, wow, this is a real handful, But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and then I went to a public library to get some ideas for some lyrics, and the first thing I saw on the bookshelf was a book called Passchendaele, and just the way the words were passioned. I mean, just kind of, growing up in England, probably in the 60s and 70s, and all the war documentaries we saw, makes a big impression on you when you're a kid, and put the 2 and 2 together, and I played it to Steve, and he didn't need any more persuading. He started writing loads of lyrics So I mean, I had a couple of lines, and then he went from there really and added some more at the chorus, and then we had that song. And so I was very pleased with the way that turned out. Yeah, it is a bit of a shock to the system, but it's amazing how quickly it does. You know, it does return, and after a couple of days rehearsal, it was sounding pretty decent. We're all kind of shocked, actually. Wow, it sounds good, you know. Actually playing and performing in front of an audience, because we're not the sort of band who just stands around and plays. Running around, you know, that does take some getting. That's almost like you know, I guess a sportsman who's had a long layoff. You know, you start using muscles that you haven't used for a while. After a week, so you're right back in the saddle, you know. He was great. Obviously, I think the first time I'm playing it is always going to stick with you, because the only thing with Donaldson is you get this sense of pressure because it's your home country. You want to do well. You don't want to fall on your ass. You don't want to make, you know. Also, you have all the sort of all your family there, and your friends you haven't seen for years come ringing, your mobile's ringing, can I get me some tickets, blah blah blah. So when you do get on stage, and it's actually a great release, and it's, you know, you just get on with the gig and enjoy the gig. And it was great this year. It was fantastic. It was even good weather, so can't be bad. Every gig on this tour has been amazing. I mean, we seem to be picking up new fans, and the thing that gets me when we all go out on stage and see, you know, kids 15, 16, 17, boys and girls, you know, which is a new one, and they know all the stuff. They even know the old stuff, and I'm just amazed. I think it's great that we're still picking up new fans. So that's something that's stuck in my mind. You know, we've done festivals that haven't been our show. We haven't been in total control of the shows. We've gone on playing with other bands like Coldplay and the Cardigans, all sorts of bands we'd, you know, never think would share a bill. And you know, they've been some of the best gigs on the tour. You get a sense of having to fight a little bit to you know, because maybe a lot of people haven't seen you before. But by the end of the night, you know, everyone's joining in, and you feel like you've won a few more fans, which is a nice feeling. The band has never sort of followed fashion, or we've never sort of gone up any of those roads, you know, with our music. So you could put an album on from 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, and it sounds similar to what we're doing now. You know, might be slightly better sound quality, but it doesn't vary drastically. We've always stayed close to the fans. I mean, I can say this, you know, being an outsider for a few years and not being involved in the band and coming back, I think I'm in a more, can view it more objectively, and because of that, I think the band's still around. And we've also, you know, we've always toured a lot. We've always brought the music to the fan. Never relied on radio. So I think the fans, those sort of fans, you know, remember you, and they stick with you because you stick with them. You know, I think it's pretty simple, really. We always toured a lot, spent a lot of money on the shows, put a lot of money back into it. So I think our hardcore fans have sustained us, and you know, how would you describe us now? We just seem to be Iron Maiden.
Dance of Death as an album to record was pretty easy, in as much as they all are kind of easy to work on, but the tunes, they're sometimes a bit difficult. This album was done relatively quickly, as most of the albums in the past have been done. But there was something different about this album than all the others put together. I don't know whether it was just that it was more of a, you know, the first. Okay, Bruce came back. We did Brave New World, which was a standalone album, I think, in terms of a pinnacle of Maiden's history. And then we came in the studio. We had 7 songs rehearsed and written, so we were 4 short. But we went in and we had such a great time, and it was so relaxed. Not to say the others weren't, but there was a different vibe. It was as though it was our first album. It's as near as I can put it. It was as the vibe in the room was like, oh, we're in the studio, and we're in where, you know, who everyone had recorded in this room. You know, Bob Marley, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven was done in this room, and it was like hallowed recording ground, you know. So there was a great vibe on that alone. So it was a very, very, very easy album, really. No idea. I'm not sure if it's a name that the band gave him last, you know, a few years, 3 years ago when we did Brave New World, but Caveman is definitely appropriate to his personality. He was here. Probably he will bash me on the top of the noggin with a big chunk of wood next time he sees me and drag me off somewhere. Well, no, that's when you sort of do the mating thing. So he probably won't be doing the dragging me off, but knocking me over the noggin with a big chunk of wood, more than likely. Dance of Death has a song written by the inimitable one and only good-looking bloke in the band, Nicko McBrain, called New Frontier. It's taken 20 years for me to actually take a whole song, like, well, I had the lyrics and the verses worked out. I took it to Adrian and we worked on the bridge and chorus together, although, you know, I had pretty much where I wanted the chorus to go with because I had the lyrics. So we sat down and we kind of it came together jointly. So I gave the band the song, and it was very weird because we were about 2 or 3 weeks into recording, and we'd finished whatever the track was we were working on previously, and it was like, I think Bruce said, "Oh, let's give Nick Song a whirl," and I'm like, well, I've got to sound about it now. So I'd already played the chorus and the verse and the tune to Bruce. He loved the chorus, so he was very happy with that. But anyway, the next stage was I had to take it with the bass, the acoustic bass, with Adrian, with the 3 guitar players, and we were working out where we were going, who was going to play what part, and and what the chord structures were, etc. So the guys all worked out what was going on. Adrian takes the first solo in the tune. Davey takes there's a little melody over there's a modulated solo, and he takes the second part, but it's more of a melody solo rather than, you know, like a full-blown guitar licks, so to speak. And of course, once now we've got all the band and the guitars all ready to go, I had to play it to Steve. So Steve goes, he puts his bass on. I've got his acoustic, his Black Guild acoustic, which is a beautiful bass guitar. And I said, he said, well, how's it going? And I went, okay, you know, we did the intro, and off we went, you know, and played it, and he's gone, here, it sounding bad. He said, do you want to do the bass on the song? I was like, oh, dearie me, very, very sweet. See, I thought I'm not mistaken, he's passed me a compliment. And I thought, well, you don't think you're going to be playing the tubs, because there's no chance of that, mate, you know. But it was very nerve-wracking. Right? But once I started it, and you know, the thing is with the guys, they're all so approachable. You know, nobody's going, oh, no, we don't want to hear that, you know. Or, you know, it's like everyone has their tunes they bring in, and everyone will give it a thorough workout. And then if it's something that's a little bit not quite in the vein of the other tunes, or it's a standalone song that's really not going to kind of fit in with everything, then we won't use it. My style of writing, the songs I've written with my wife and my friend Danny Spitz are not kind of really Maiden. But then again, what is and what isn't? You know, once we take a tune, you can take a tune, we'll Maidenize it. You know, there's been instances in the past where the guys have come to the band with a tune, and it's very kind of, dare I say, popish. For want of another way of explaining it, and we've gone, oh yeah, it's a bit, if we match the tempo up, double the tempo on it, and put a bit of the old guitar and all this business, and Nick doing his tubs and what have you, and you get this sort of Maiden stamp on a tune, then it's obviously a contributing song to an album. But in the past we have had songs where they just, you know, and my style right now, I must admit I had a bit of cold feet really, and I had a bit more confidence over the last few years from doing different things with my wife and Danny, and sitting at home fiddling around, because I like to play the bass guitar anyway. So I actually play very much in the style of Steve. When you hear the track New Frontier, you think that's a classic Steve riff, you know. And the whole essence of that tune came from just a bass riff, and then my wife and I were talking, and I was a bit concerned about cloning, so I wrote the whole song's about cloning, but Bruce has changed the verse lyrics, and he said to me after we finished the album, we were all having a celebratory drink before I went back to America, and he said, "Oh, do you mind if I mess with the lyrics on the verses?" He said, "You know, it's not that they're not good or they don't, it's just I've got a different idea. Do you mind if I'm..." And I said, "No, go ahead." It's what people feel comfortable and how they contribute their essence to a tune. All of them I enjoy. I obviously think New Frontier is a cracking tune. No, it's got its own character and nature, which suits the album. Like the first two tunes are very, very in-your-face, quick tunes. You know, Wildest Dreams and Rainmaker, both are potential 45s. I mean, even New Frontier could be, but it wasn't written like that. But it's that instant kind of tune. It's not too long. It's not a very, very difficult tune to listen to. It's an easy... Whereas you get something like, say, for instance, Passchendaele, which is a tricky piece of music to work on, because there's so many bits and pieces, and Adrian surpassed himself in that tune, I must say. But my favourite at the moment is Montségur. That has got everything classic Maiden about it to me. The album has, but in different avenues. It's a bit of retrospective Maiden in a way. You could say this album was a bit of everything from Maiden's career from the very early 80s through to Brave New World, and now it's gone progressively, it's moved on a step. That's my opinion. So relating to all the songs, yeah, it's difficult. At the moment, Montségur is my favourite tune. Well, you know, all the years we've toured, and we've done quite a few of them they've all had their, you know, when you do them, you go, this is the best tour we've ever done, da, 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 you know, and it's the best album we've ever made, and that's right, that's true to form. And then this tour, we aren't promoting anything, so we've gone out with this incredible vibe anyway, because it's basically like another Ed Hunter tour, but we had that Ed Hunter video game to promote, so it was a vehicle to do that. This one was just purely to go out and do the festivals, have a great time, get ourselves wound up for the next cycle of touring, which is Dance of Death, which is a very, very important album in Maiden's career because it is such a progressive album. Every album is really important when you go out, and we live on the road. That's where we go in the studio to make the best albums we possibly can, write the best tunes, and the time that we possibly can. But going on those floorboards, that's where we live. That's where we're in command. It's got to be said, I do love the festival vibe, but I do also like. Sometimes there's a difference in the vibe from the kids, because when you're playing indoors, you're doing your own show. At a festival, unless it's your own festival like the old Donington 92 and 88, it's, you know, that's your own audience that come and see you. But it's nice to play at a festival because of the vibe, because there's other guys in the audience that wouldn't be there normally had they not come to see somebody like the Cardigans or Zwam, I haven't pronounced them, or a different band that's not progressive hard rock, and they stay there at the festival for the weekend, so you're getting across to a lot of different fans, which is a wonderful experience. And everything we've achieved so far on this tour has been absolutely phenomenal. It's a blessing, because all these festivals that we're playing at, like Grass Pop, you know, Alice Cooper was on, Typo Negatives, Anthrax, name just about a few, Stradivarius, all different kinds of hard rock. They're not all Iron Maiden fans. But they're fans of the genre of music, which makes it all a big family anyway. But there might be a bunch of kids out there who go, well, I wouldn't go see Maiden. No, I'm going to go and watch them tonight because they're on the bill. And at the end of it, they've all got their hands up in the air going, yeah, Maiden rules, or whatever. Or they've just had that great time, and they come away and they go, you know what? I really like, you know, I'm now a Maiden fan, as well as Alice Cooper, as well, you know. So you're otherwise playing to a lot of new cats. But whereas when you're doing arena shows, you know that's like, if you sold out 13,500 seats, pretty much those 13,500 kids are there just to see you. Yes and no. I mean, it's really more an insight into what I do, rather than sitting talking to the guys on the plane and go, what did you do yesterday? And you know, what I write tends to be what I've done. And really, it started on the Brave New World tour. We all were bought these wonderful Vio computers at the time. I mean, they were state of the art then. I mean, now they're sort of dinosaurs, aren't they? But Rod said, "Oh, Nicky, would you like to do a diary on the road?" He said, "You're funny, man. The kids would love. No." He said, "I think you should do something." Oh, I said, "All right then, I'll do a couple, see how they go." And I really enjoyed doing it because I'm the worst at writing letters or especially keeping a diary, for crying out loud. So it was a hoot, and everybody that I spoke to, friends of mine, go, "Oh, I can see you. People that know you can see that's you writing. I can hear you talking that, and all this." I enjoy doing it.